Grace's heart pounded like a war drum as she stood in the middle of her family's living room. The words tumbling out before she could stop them. "I'm gay, and I'm in love with Nora." The silence that followed was deafening, her parents' faces twisting from confusion to rage in an instant, her father's voice booming. "You're not our daughter anymore." By morning, her bags were packed, and they drove her to the airport in stony silence, handing her a one-way ticket to London with instructions never to return. Grace clutched the ticket like a lifeline, her mind reeling as the reality sank in. How had it come to this? Just yesterday she was planning a future with Nora, dreaming of lazy Sundays in their tiny apartment in Chicago, whispering secrets under the covers. Now she was being exiled, her family's rejection cutting deeper than any knife. She glanced back at her parents through the car window, her mother's eyes averted, her father's jaw set in unyielding stone. "This is for your own good," her mother had muttered earlier, but Grace knew it was for theirs, to preserve the facade of their perfect, conservative life in suburban Illinois. As the car pulled away from O'Hare International Airport, Grace's phone buzzed with a text from Nora. "Where are you? We need to talk." Her fingers trembled as she typed back. "They're sending me away. I came out. It's over." The reply came instantly. "What? No, Grace, fight this." But how could she fight when her world was crumbling? Inside the terminal, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, amplifying her isolation. She thought of Nora's laugh, the way it lit up even the darkest days, and wondered if she'd ever hear it again. Boarding the plane felt like stepping into a void. Grace sank into her seat, staring out at the tarmac, her mind flooded with memories. She remembered the first time she met Nora at a college poetry slam in downtown Chicago. Nora, with her sharp wit and unapologetic confidence, had recited a piece about hidden desires that resonated so deeply with Grace it felt like fate. They had talked all night, sharing stories of growing up in families where conformity was king. Grace's parents, devout Catholics, had always pushed her toward the right path. Good grades, a stable job, eventually a husband. Nora's background was similar, though her immigrant parents from Mexico added layers of cultural expectations. "Why didn't I wait?" Grace whispered to herself, tears stinging her eyes. The impulse to come out had hit her after a heated argument with her father about her lack of direction. He'd accused her of wasting her potential, and in a burst of defiance, she'd revealed her truth. Now, as the plane taxied down the runway, she replayed the scene. Her mother's gasp, her father's demand for her to recant, calling it a phase influenced by those liberal friends. When she stood firm, they decided on the spot. Study abroad, far from temptations to fix her. Hours into the flight, Grace's thoughts turned to the moral quandary gnawing at her. Was honesty worth this pain? Society preached authenticity, but in practice it came with a price tag she couldn't afford. She pulled out her journal, scribbling furiously. "I feel like a traitor to myself for even questioning this. But what if they're right? What if I'm just confused?" The doubt was poison, seeping into her resolve. Nora had always been her anchor, urging her to embrace who she was. "Love isn't a choice, Grace," Nora had said during one of their late-night talks. "But hiding it is killing us both." Landing in London felt surreal. The gray skies mirrored her mood as she navigated customs, her one suitcase her only companion. Her parents had arranged for her to stay with a distant aunt she'd never met, in a program at a local university, supposedly for a master's in literature, but really in exile. Aunt Evelyn picked her up, a stern woman in her 60s with a no-nonsense air. "Your parents think this will help you sort things out," she said curtly, driving through the rain-slicked streets. Grace nodded numbly, her mind elsewhere. That night, in the spare room of Evelyn's flat, Grace video-called Nora. The connection was spotty, but seeing Nora's face brought a flood of emotions. "They can't do this," Nora said, her voice cracking. "Come back. We'll figure it out together." Grace shook her head. "I have no money, no place to go. They cut me off." The conversation turned heated. Nora accusing Grace of giving up too easily, Grace defending her fear of total abandonment. "You don't understand the pressure," Grace snapped. "My family is everything to me." Nora's eyes hardened. "And what am I?" The call ended in tears, leaving Grace more conflicted than ever. She lay awake, dissecting every decision. Coming out had been a bid for freedom, but it felt like chains now. Society's acceptance was a myth in her world. Whispers at church, judgmental stares from neighbors. And the ethical dilemma. Was she betraying her faith by loving Nora? Her parents had drilled in verses about traditional love, but Grace's heart screamed otherwise. God made me this way, she thought defiantly, yet doubt lingered. Days blurred into weeks. Grace threw herself into classes, but her heart wasn't in it. Emails from her parents were sparse, laced with conditions. Reflect on your choices. We love you but not this lifestyle. Nora's messages grew infrequent, the distance straining their bond. One evening, Grace received a bombshell text from a mutual friend. Nora's been seen with someone else. Thought you should know. Her world tilted. Betrayal sliced through her. Had Nora given up so quickly? Confronting Nora via text led to a raw exchange. It's not what you think, Nora insisted. I'm just trying to cope. But Grace's trust wavered. You promise forever. The argument escalated, accusations flying. Grace for fleeing, Nora for moving on. In her isolation, Grace questioned everything. Her identity, her love, the societal norms that pitted family against self. Was this the price of authenticity? As winter set in, Grace met a support group for LGBTQ+ expats. Their stories of similar exiles resonated, fueling her anger. They think they can erase us, one woman shared. Grace's inner turmoil boiled. I've lost everything for who I am. Is it worth it? She decided to write a letter to her parents, pouring out her pain, challenging their bigotry. But sending it meant no turning back. The response came swiftly. A curt email. You're dead to us until you change. The finality crushed her. But it also ignited a spark. Grace realized the moral crossroads. Cling to a toxic family or forge her own path. Society's judgment loomed, but so did the promise of true freedom. Grace stared at her laptop screen. The email from her parents burning into her retinas. Dead to us. The words echoed in her mind like a death knell, stirring a storm of rage and sorrow. How could love be conditional? She slammed the laptop shut, pacing the cramped room, her thoughts a whirlwind. They raised me to be honest, yet punish me for it. Hypocrites. The betrayal from her own blood felt like a physical wound, reopening every insecurity she'd buried. In the support group that night, Grace shared her story for the first time. The room, filled with empathetic faces, listened intently. I came out and they shipped me off like defective goods, she said, voice trembling. An older woman named Sarah nodded. Families fear what they don't understand. But you can't let their ignorance define you. The words struck a chord, but Grace's doubt persisted. What if I'm the one who's wrong? What if this is a test from God? Back in her room, Grace's phone lit up with a call from Nora. Hesitating, she answered. I miss you, Nora said softly. That rumor about me, it's nothing. A friend comforting me. Grace wanted to believe her, but suspicion lingered. Distance changes people, she replied. The conversation meandered into deeper waters, Nora admitting the pressure from her own family, who suspected but hadn't confronted her. If I come out, it'll be the same for me, Nora confessed. But I can't lose you. Their talk reignited the flame, but also highlighted the chasm between them. Grace lay awake, pondering the ethical tightrope. Stay loyal to Nora despite the pain, or protect herself from more hurt. Society's double standards infuriated her. Straight couples faced no such scrutiny. Why must we fight for basic rights? She thought bitterly. Weeks passed and Grace's studies became a refuge. In a literature class, she dissected themes of identity and forbidden love stories, drawing parallels to her life. A classmate, Mia, noticed her passion and struck up a conversation. Mia, openly queer, shared her own journey of family reconciliation. It took time, but they came around, Mia said. Grace envied her optimism. Mine won't. They're too entrenched in their beliefs. One afternoon, Grace received a package from home. Her childhood belongings shipped without a note. Rifling through, she found a photo of her family at Christmas, smiles frozen in time. Tears flowed as memories surged. Helping her mother bake cookies, debating politics with her father. I was their pride. Now I'm their shame. The loss was visceral, prompting a decision. She'd reach out to her younger sister, Lily, who had remained silent. Texting Lily felt risky. Her parents monitored everything. "I miss you," Grace wrote. Lily's reply was guarded. "Miss you too. But Mom and Dad are furious." Probing further, Grace learned the household was in turmoil, arguments her name taboo. "They think you're influenced by bad company," Lily added. Grace's anger flared. "Bad company? Nora's the best thing in my life." The exchange with Lily stirred moral conflict. By contacting her, was Grace dragging her sister into the fray? Or was it a lifeline? Society's stigma on queer relationships amplified the guilt. Families torn apart over love that harmed no one. Is my happiness worth their pain? Grace agonized. Meanwhile, her bond with Nora frayed further. A late-night argument erupted over video. Nora pressuring Grace to return, Grace insisting on stability first. "You're choosing fear over us," Nora accused. "And you're not seeing the reality," Grace shot back. The call ended abruptly, leaving Grace hollow. In her journal, "Love shouldn't demand sacrifice like this. But does it?" Inspired by the support group, Grace volunteered at a local LGBTQ+ center, counseling others in similar plights. Hearing tales of rejection and resilience fortified her. One teen's story mirrored hers. Coming out, parental banishment. "I regret nothing," the teen said defiantly. Grace admired the courage, yet her own wavered. What if regret comes later? A turning point came when Evelyn, her aunt, confronted her. "Your parents told me everything. I don't agree with them." Shocked, Grace listened as Evelyn revealed her own hidden past. A brief same-sex relationship in youth, suppressed for societal acceptance. "I chose safety over truth. Don't make my mistake." The revelation humanized Evelyn, sparking hope. But it also deepened Grace's dilemma. Follow her aunt's regretful path or blaze her own? As spring approached, Grace applied for jobs in London, seeking independence. News from home worsened, her parents spreading rumors to extended family, painting her as rebellious. The social fallout stung. Old friends distanced themselves. Society judges without mercy, she thought. In a bold move, Grace messaged Nora. "I need space to figure this out." Nora's response was heartbroken. "Is this goodbye?" Grace didn't know. The decision weighed heavily. Was she betraying their love for self-preservation? High tensions built as Grace attended a protest for queer rights, chanting against discrimination. The energy empowered her, but thoughts of her family's disdain tempered it. "They're part of the problem," she realized, the insight painful. Grace's newfound resolve cracked when Lily called in tears. "Dad had a heart scare. Blames the stress from you." The news hit like a freight train, guilt flooding Grace. "Is this my fault?" she wondered, pacing endlessly. Her father's health, fragile now because of her truth? The moral weight was crushing. Her authenticity versus his well-being. Society's narrative blamed the queer child for family strife, and Grace internalized it. She booked a flight home, consequences be damned. "I can't let him die thinking I hate him," she told Evelyn. Her aunt warned against it. "They'll trap you there." But Grace's heart overruled logic. On the plane, doubts assailed her. Am I walking into a lion's den? Memories of Nora surfaced, their last fight unresolved. She texted Nora. "Going back for Dad. Don't know what happens next." Landing in Chicago, Grace took a cab to the hospital, nerves frayed. Her mother waited in the lobby, face etched with exhaustion. "You shouldn't have come," she said coldly. Grace pushed past, entering her father's room. He looked frail, hooked to machines. "Grace," he whispered, surprise flickering. "Why are you here?" The confrontation was inevitable. "Because you're my father," she said, voice steady. He sighed. "Your choices broke us." Grace's anger surged. "My love isn't a choice. Your rejection is." The argument intensified. Him citing religion, her countering with compassion. "God loves all," she insisted. Her mother intervened. "This isn't the time." But Grace pressed. "When is? You've exiled me for being me." Leaving the hospital, Grace felt a mix of catharsis and despair. Had she made things worse? The ethical bind tightened. Honor thy parents, but at what cost to self? Society's expectations amplified the conflict. Queer individuals often bore the burden of reconciliation. Nora met her at a coffee shop, the reunion tense. "You came back without telling me?" Nora accused. Grace explained the emergency. I couldn't risk you getting involved. Their talk turned emotional. Nora admitting loneliness, Grace confessing doubts. Do we even work anymore? Grace asked. Nora's eyes welled. We can if we fight. But family pressure mounted. Her parents demanded she stay, renounce her lifestyle. For your father's sake, her mother pleaded. Grace wavered, the guilt immense. In private, she agonized. Sacrificing my truth for peace, is that moral? Nora urged resistance. Don't let them win. A family meeting ensued, charged with drama. Her father from his bed laid ultimatums. Cut ties with that woman or lose us forever. Grace's heart raced. Nora's not that woman. She's my partner. Gasps echoed. Lily looked torn. The debate raged, tradition versus progress, faith versus love. Grace challenged. Your love is conditional. Mine isn't. Storming out, Grace sought solace with Nora. Their night was raw, decisions hanging. If I stay, I lose myself, Grace said. Nora nodded. Then we leave together. But Grace hesitated. Abandoning family again? The betrayal to her roots gnawed. News spread. Relatives bombarded her with judgmental calls. Think of the family name, an uncle said. Society's lens magnified the shame. Queer love deemed scandalous. Grace's inner voice screamed. Why must I pay for their prejudices? In a pivotal moment, Grace confronted her mother alone. You taught me kindness. Where's yours now? Her mother broke down. I'm scared for your soul. The vulnerability humanized her, but didn't sway Grace. My soul is fine. Yours is hardened. As her father's condition stabilized, Grace faced the choice. Stay and conform or leave authentically. Nora's ultimatum added pressure. Choose us or them. Grace's mind spun. Loyalty divided, morals clashing. Opting for truth, Grace packed to return to London with Nora. But at the airport, her parents appeared. Don't go, her father begged, weaker but earnest. The scene was heart-wrenching, tears please. Grace stood firm. I love you, but I love myself too. Boarding the plane, hand in Nora's, Grace felt liberated yet broken. The cost? A fractured family. Was it worth it? She pondered. Settling back in London with Nora felt like a fragile new beginning, but shadows lingered. Grace's mind replayed the airport farewell, her father's pleading eyes, her mother's silent sobs. I abandoned them when they needed me, she thought, guilt eroding her peace. Nora tried to reassure. You chose survival. But Grace's doubts festered. Was self-preservation selfish? Their relationship, strained by separation, faced tests. Petty arguments erupted. Over finances, futures. You regret coming back for me, Nora accused one night. Grace snapped. I regret everything sometimes. The words hung heavy, revealing cracks. In her journal, love amid chaos, is it sustainable? Or are we doomed by external forces? Work at the LGBTQ+ Center became Grace's outlet. Counseling others mirrored her struggles, fostering growth. A client's story of parental acceptance inspired hope, but also envy. Why not me? Society's progress was uneven. While cities embraced diversity, families like hers clung to outdated norms. A call from Lily shattered the calm. Dad's worse. He wants to see you. Grace's heart clenched. Is this a trap? Nora opposed. Don't go. They'll manipulate you. The dilemma resurfaced. Family duty versus personal boundaries. Morally, ignoring a dying wish felt wrong, yet returning risked regression. Grace flew back alone, steeling herself. At the hospital, her father looked diminished. I'm sorry, he whispered. Shocked, Grace listened as he admitted fears drove his actions. I thought I was protecting you.
Tears flowed, réconciliation tentative.
Can you forgive? He asked. Grace hesitated. Forgiveness doesn't erase the hurt. Her mother joined, atmosphere thick. We've been wrong, she admitted reluctantly. But conditions lurked. Just be discreet. Grace's resolve hardened. No half measures. Accept all or nothing. The standoff was intense, emotions clashing, truths unveiled. Leaving Grace felt conflicted. Progress but incomplete. Society's influence evident in their partial thaw. Change takes time, she thought, but impatience burned. Back in London, Nora's jealousy surfaced. You went without me? The fight escalated, trust issues boiling over. You're still tied to them, Nora yelled. Grace countered. And you're pushing me away. The betrayal stung. Their love teetering. In therapy, Grace unpacked layers. Internalized homophobia, familial trauma. I question my worth daily, she confessed. The sessions revealed moral nuances. No clear right or wrong in love's battles. A betrayal hit when Grace discovered Nora had confided in an ex during their separation. It was emotional support, Nora explained. Grace felt shattered. While I fought alone, the confrontation was raw, accusations, tears. How can I trust again? They separated temporarily, Grace crashing with Evelyn. Isolation amplified introspection. Have I sacrificed too much? Is love worth this pain? Society's portrayal of queer relationships as turbulent fueled her cynicism. Reconnecting with Mia from class, Grace found platonic comfort. Mia's advice. Define your own ethics. Not society's. It resonated, prompting Grace to evaluate choices. High drama peaked when her father passed suddenly. Flying home for the funeral, Grace faced the family. Whispers abounded, judgment palpable. In eulogy she spoke truth. He loved fiercely, even if misguided. The act was defiant, sparking debates. Post-funeral, her mother offered olive branch. Let's try. But Grace demanded full acceptance, including Nora. Tensions rose. Relatives intervening, alliances shifting. Returning to London, Grace proposed to Nora. Marry me despite everything. Nora's acceptance was tearful, but doubts lingered. The wedding planning brought joy amid chaos, but family rifts persisted. Grace's mother attended virtually, a small victory, yet her absence stung. Why can't they fully embrace? Grace wondered, the moral gap evident. Society evolved, but personal prejudices lagged. Honeymoon in Paris felt like escape, but arguments surfaced. Your family's shadow looms, Nora said. Grace admitted. I'm still healing. Their love, tested, deepened through vulnerability. Back home, Grace advocated publicly, speaking at events, sharing her story. Backlash came. Online trolls, estranged relatives. You're dividing the family, an aunt messaged. Grace's response, stand firm. The ethical stance. Truth over comfort. A surprise. Lily came out as bi, seeking Grace's guidance. How do I tell them? The cycle repeated, Grace advising caution. But don't hide forever. Mentoring her sister healed wounds, but highlighted ongoing struggles. Nora's career took off, straining time together. We're drifting, Grace confessed. Therapy helped navigate. Love requires constant choice. They recommitted, but sacrifices mounted. Missed milestones, emotional tolls. Years later, at a family reunion Grace organized, tensions exploded. Her mother confronted. Your lifestyle still bothers me. Grace's retort. It's not a lifestyle. It's my life. The drama unfolded. Alliances formed, revelations shared. Lily defended Grace, shifting dynamics. In quiet moments, Grace reflected on the journey. Exiles, betrayals, awakenings. The price was high, but so was the reward. Yet questions remained. As Grace and Nora built their life, society shifted. Laws protecting, attitudes softening. But personal battles endured. Grace pondered. Was coming out the right choice despite the pain?